Welcome back to the video, and today we are talking about the Cleveland Browns going into the 2025 NFL season. We are finishing up the AFC North, so if you haven't seen it, go check out our video on the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Ravens. Today we are finishing up the AFC North with the Cleveland Browns. Going to do a brief recap over last year, and then go into this season's players, the coaching, the schedule, and everything that I think matters when talking about the Cleveland Browns going into 2025. This is a rough team. I'm not going to lie to you. This is a rough team. They were 3-14 last year. Very interesting draft, which we will talk about. But let's just jump right into it. If you guys go and enjoy the video, though, make sure hit the like button and subscribe. It is free and helps out the channel a whole lot, so I would really appreciate that. But all that aside, going right into this, last year for the Browns, it was rough. It was rough from pretty much the start to the end. Jameis Winston, 2,121 yards. That was your passing leader. Deshaun Watson goes down with that Achilles injury. I think we've probably seen the last of Deshaun Watson in the NFL. Even if he does come back from this ruptured Achilles, there's nothing at all, at least for me, to have confidence in saying he's going to return to Houston, Deshaun Watson. I mean, he couldn't do it sitting out for a year and then going to Cleveland, let alone now an Achilles injury, even more time removed. I don't see it. So moving on from him, DTR played, but again, this was a fairly raw prospect, and he looked that way in the NFL. Not too much to really go off of there. And then Bailey Zappi, not really going to talk about him. But yeah, so it's been quite the carousel of quarterbacks or the carousel of quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns, which it has been for a long time now. It feels like you kind of just threw everything to get Watson in there. That doesn't work. So where do you find yourselves this year? Well, we'll get into that. That's at least for last year, though. Rushing-wise, Jerome Ford is your leader there, 565 and 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb did come back at some point, 332 and 3 touchdowns for what it's worth there. And then Deontay Foreman, 232 with no touchdowns. Not much output there on the ground. Receiving-wise, Jerry Jeudy actually had a very solid year, and the biggest thing for me is he played every single game. Jerry Jeudy has been banged up a lot in his NFL career, even though he's a very good player. For me, the most promising thing was a full season of no injuries, so that's huge for me. 90 receptions, 1,229 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Great season for him. Elijah Moore had 538 with 1 touchdown. He's now in Buffalo. Dave Njoku, 505 and 5 touchdowns as well. And then it kind of steadily drops off from there. So again, for the Browns to find success this year, there's just so many things that have to be exactly right. And I mean, if it's going to happen, which we'll get into my opinion if I think it will, if it's going to happen, it has to be another season from Jerry Jeudy just like that. Defensively, Myles Garrett did his thing, 14 sacks, 22 total tackles for loss. We had Grant Delpit, of course, at safety. The corner struggled a little bit there for Martin Emerson, along with the other guy just lost now, so that really sucks. I can't find his name. That's Greg Newsome as well. But you still have, of course, Denzel Ward, one of the best corners in the entire NFL, so always promising there with him. But again, I want to keep the recap brief. Overall, 3 wins. It was a bad year. So you get into this now with a completely different quarterback room in 2025. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. And do not worry, we will definitely revisit that in just a moment. Jerome Ford is the starting running back as of right now, but they drafted Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson for running back there. Judkins is now in legal trouble, so will it be suspension? I don't know. It's always hard to judge how the NFL handles these things or when it's actually going to be a closed case so that they can hand out suspensions. So I don't really know. Again, we'll talk about that in a second a bit more. Wide receiver room, Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and Deontay Johnson. Tight end, Dave Njoku. Fullback, Troy Hairston. And the offensive line, DeJuan Jones, Joel Bitonio, Ethan Pochik, Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin. So the Browns have a lot of question marks at a lot of different positions, and it's what scares me off from this team so badly. So first, we're going to get into the quarterback room. And I've talked about this before in past videos, but I'm going to say it again right now. There is no reason for Joe Flacco to be the starter, in my opinion. There's just not. The Browns have struggled a lot at finding their long-term answer at quarterback. Joe Flacco is not that. Even if he starts and he has 4 straight games of having 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, even though it's never going to happen. But if it were to happen, that doesn't help you in the long run. And that is the Browns' issue, is they need long-term, sustainable success at quarterback because they just have not been able to find it. So what do? They draft 2 quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd and Sanders in the 5th. you probably could have switched them and it would have made more sense going Sanders in the third and Gabriel in the fifth, but whatever, doesn't matter. They're both in the same team now anyways. So you draft both of them. You clearly identify there's a problem at quarterback. What do we do? Well, in my opinion, what you should do is you should start Kenny Pickett, because Kenny Pickett is at the very least young and provides you that upside. Joe Flacco has no upside. You know exactly what you're getting with Joe Flacco. You're getting a somewhat solid veteran player at the very end of his career who does not give you anything of value long term. You cannot invest in Joe Flacco. Kenny Pickett has been very shaky and very inconsistent for his entire NFL career. So the only reason I would say to start him over Joe Flacco is on the off chance that for some reason Kenny Pickett has a boom season or a boom start to the season, is he's at least young and can provide you with a long-term answer at quarterback if by some miracle he is able to provide that. Does that make sense? That's the only reason I see Pickett over Flacco. So to summarize that briefly, Flacco has a higher floor but a lower ceiling because I don't see his success being long-term. Kenny Pickett has a much lower floor but a higher ceiling because I feel like if he can put it together, he is still young and can provide that. That hopefully makes sense. So altogether, though, hopefully neither one of those guys are starting by like week 6. In my opinion, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, these are two guys that do need time to sit. I think ideally they'd be able to sit for an entire season because I think that as far as them as prospects, that's probably what they both need the most. However, I don't think you're in a position to do that if you're Cleveland. I think if you're starting Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett or a mix of both of them over an entire season, you're not going to find success. And at this point, you need literally anything to give you that spark and that quick, like a Jaden Daniels, okay? That's an extreme example of a young quarterback providing a quick turnaround. But that's the kind of spark the Browns need. The Browns need literally anything at quarterback to give them hope and say, okay, this guy could be our starter for the next 2 years, and we'd be happy about it, at the very least. That's what they need, is that 2-year, 1 season more even guarantee. So to me, while I don't think Gabriel and Sanders should ideally be starting in year 1, I think they're going to have to at some point this year because the Browns are going to weigh their options. They did not draft 2 quarterbacks in the same draft to have them both sit for a year. So I talked about Flacco and the Pickett arrangement, in my opinion. For Gabriel and Sanders, in my opinion, you should give Gabriel the first shot because you did take him in the 3rd round. And if you had that much confidence to pick Gabriel in the 3rd round of the draft, you should at least be seeing if he can give you that kind of value that you clearly saw in him because you wouldn't have taken him 2 rounds further than you probably should have. So for me, when you're turning to a rookie quarterback, you turn to Gabriel first. You want to see if you can get your return in value for your 3rd round pick. It's a big deal. It's a 3rd round pick. With that said, I don't have any confidence in Dillon Gabriel. So despite him being 4th on the depth chart this year, I do see Sanders getting a shot. Whether that's in week 7 or week 15, I don't really know. But I would be very surprised if the Browns are reliable enough this year at quarterback to where they don't turn to Sanders. So I do think Sanders has the highest ceiling. I think it's going to take some time for him to get that shot unless the other quarterbacks just fail so miserably and the coaches just have no patience for it. But I do see Sanders getting a shot. I think he by far has the highest ceiling in the NFL. I think his floor is probably pretty similar to Kenny Pickett's, to be honest with you. So I don't see why you wouldn't give him a shot. In fact, I think Dillon Gabriel's floor is actually lower than Pickett and Sanders. So I would give Sanders a shot. I don't think he's going to be a superstar quarterback, and I've said that pretty much from the beginning when I first started talking about him. But for one, he does have the talent to at least be a solid starter in the NFL. And 2, that's what the Browns need. They need a solid starting quarterback. We do not need a Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen. You literally just need a solid quarterback so you can somewhat evaluate the other positions on this offense because there's so many question marks. But if you don't have a quarterback in there, well, then you can't even fairly evaluate your wide receiver room, which is very, very weak at that, or your running back room, which is, albeit very dependent on rookies. So you need something at quarterback. And so that's how I see it going, in my opinion. You should start Pickett, give Flacco a chance. Yeah, why not? Pull him, start Pickett, And then whenever he probably inevitably struggles, you turn to Gabriel or you turn to Sanders and you just let your rookie go because you need literally anything at this point. You're coming with a 3-win season. You have nothing to lose. And their schedule is not easy either. Going to the running back room, though. So Judkins is in legal trouble, which is unfortunate because I think he is probably the best running back in this room right now, in my opinion. Dylan Sampson is awesome as well, and I'm actually really excited to see the way this room kind of unfolds. I think Jerome Ford is solid, but ideally, if you can have like Judkins and Sampson as your running back 1 and 2, that gives you a much higher ceiling and a much higher floor than if you just have Ford mixed into there, stealing some snaps away. So I expect this to start out with Ford kind of stealing the show for the first 3 to 4 weeks. Then after that, Judkins, assuming he is able to play, will increase his role, and Sampson will increase his role. If Judkins is not able to play, I expect a lot of Dylan Sampson early on because there has to be someone there to help out Ford, and I don't see it being Pierre Strong Jr. So, again, that's kind of up in the air because the legal stuff, but that's a bit how I see that going. The wide receiver room, though, I mean, this is sketchy. I'm not gonna lie. This is sketchy. Jerry Jeudy had a great 2024 season, and it was very promising to me because I already said the injuries were a huge thing that scared me away from him. But he had a injury-free season for the most part. He was very reliable. He was great after the catch, great route runner. It's all those things we knew he is, but just hasn't been able to do because of his health. He was actually able to do that. So we need Jerry Jeudy. If you're a Browns fan, if you're on the Browns, you need him at his best for an entire season if you want to even think about breaking 500, in my opinion. Cedric Tillman is a solid wide receiver 3 or 2, in my opinion, not much more than that. If he's going to find success, it is because his quarterback will be elevating that team. And because of this quarterback room, I don't see him being elevated very much. So it's going to be very dependent on Jerry Jeudy, in my opinion. Deontay Johnson, here's the thing. I actually like Deontay Johnson a lot. He was really, really good in Pittsburgh, and then he goes to Carolina, and he's all right, and then he leaves midseason for the trade because he was kind of just personality-wise in the locker room. He goes to Baltimore, refuses to enter a game because he's like too cold or something, so then they let go of him. Really weird season for Deontay Johnson, and I have no idea what to expect for 2025. If he is committed to playing football at a level we've seen him play at, he's a very solid wide receiver 1 or 2, which will help out this Browns room a lot because as of right now, after Deontay Johnson, I mean, you need literally anybody and everybody stepping up from there because you have no depth at wide receiver. I don't have too much to say about the offensive line, and it sounds dumb saying this, but it's just because there's so many question marks at the quarterback room. I don't even know how much it matters how good this offensive line plays. Like, of course it matters, but with the floor of the quarterback being so low, I mean, the offensive line can only do so much to where if there's just no talent at quarterback, you can block all day, but you can't make these guys make the right reads. Like Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, just I have no idea what you can expect from him. Sanders, I think he is the ideal fit, but it's going to be a lot, I think, of losing for him to get a shot. So, offensive line-wise, I have confidence in a lot of these guys, but it's just going to be a rough year, man. But there are some bright spots on the Browns, and that is pretty much all on defense. I'm just going to kind of, not going to lie, I'm kind of skip ahead here. Usually I name every single guy. I actually want to talk about Mason Graham. So Mason Graham, this was someone that I think I projected to actually go to Jacksonville with the 5th overall pick, I believe. Obviously, they had a huge trade up. They went up and got Travis Hunter. The Browns moved back, and the Browns got Mason Graham. If I'm the Browns, I would not have passed up on Travis Hunter, but I also understand getting that return because of what you gave up for Watson, that you want some sort of asset. And I understand that. Like I really do. The Browns GM and their moves as a team have been criticized a lot in the last 5 years, and for good reason. They've made some very stupid moves, Deshaun Watson. But at the end of the day, getting more assets and still getting Mason Graham, I mean, this is a top 5 pick who can be a huge game disruptor at defensive tackle on the same defensive line you're having, Myles Garrett, pretty much the best defensive end in the league on. Like, I don't want that pick to really go under the radar because of the quarterback focus or lack thereof or, them passing on Travis Hunter. Yeah, you passed up on Travis Hunter, but you still got Mason Graham. This is still a big deal, and this is still a player that could absolutely win Defense Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. So I like this pick a lot. Again, this is a Browns team that's going to struggle a lot. I'm not going to lie. In my opinion, I don't see it where they don't struggle. So you're going to be looking at those bright spots all year. Well, Mason Graham and Myles Garrett on the D line paired together, that's quite the bright spot in my opinion. Mason Graham can get to the backfield. He can disrupt the quarterback. He can blow up the run. He can do a lot of things really, really well for a rookie. So if you want to look at this in the perspective of, okay, the Browns are still this rebuilding team, quarterback and all aside, defensively they're making those moves to try and retool their defense and have that be the anchor until their offense is caught up. I understand that, and I actually understand getting Mason Graham from that perspective as well, because that is how you build a long-term sustainable defense, is you get guys like this. You just re-sign Myles Garrett for all that money. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but you have one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL on your team. So I do understand that. It looks weird because you go, oh, they pass up on Travis Hunter and they have no quarterback. They're in a bad spot. Yeah, they are in a bad spot, but they also did make some moves to try and help turn this around that I think aren't being talked about enough, because there are some bright spots. And Mason Graham, at least in my opinion, is a huge bright spot for this team. You still have Denzel Ward. Again, this is one of the best corners in the entire NFL. Actually, just recently, Jamar Chase said that Denzel Ward is probably the toughest corner he has to go up against because he understands leverage and angles so well. So again, that is someone you can point to on defense, and you'll always know, okay, if this guy's on the field, we at least have a shot to lock down, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, guys that you can't lock down, but you can help contain. Denzel Ward is one of very few on the field that can help actually do that, and luckily, again, he's on your defense. Martin Emerson Jr. and Greg Newsome both kind of struggled last year. Again, they are good players. I just don't know what to expect this year from them, to be honest with you. I think it's just going to be so reliant on how this defense meshes that I think it will be better than last year, but there's still just a lot of question marks. And yeah, let's talk about some of those. So on the screen right now are some players I just want to talk about. And I want to be very clear, I say this every video, that these are just some talking points for me. The players on the screen are just guys that I want to talk about a little bit more or elaborate on. Just because a player is not on the screen, that does not mean that I don't believe in them. Just so we are absolutely clear on that. But yeah, so offense has the eyes for literally everyone, and I gave them all player to watch. I've said this before as well. The unproven mark is usually given to veterans who are unproven, not rookies, because all rookies are unproven. But player to watch I gave to Sanders and Gabriel and Sampson and Judkins. And at the end of the day, the Browns offense is pretty much in the hands of rookies. I mean, it's really overstating it. And kind of oversimplifying it. But at the end of the day, I don't see Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco starting more than, 70% of the season, 60% of the season. So at a certain point, the ceiling has to be raised somehow. And how do you raise the ceiling? You get a rookie with a lot of upside. I don't think Dylan Gabriel has a lot of upside. But I've been wrong before. I didn't think Bo Nix was going to have the season he just had, and look what he just did. So I don't want to rule anything out, and the Browns liked Gabriel enough to take him in the 3rd round before they just went ahead and grabbed Sanders in the 5th. So this is not someone that the Browns are just going to push to the side and say, oh, well, we got Sanders in the 5th. We don't need to use our 3rd round pick anymore. I mean, that's a 3rd round pick. If you took a quarterback in the 3rd round, you believe in him, especially when you're looking at the Browns quarterback room. You didn't pick him to sit there all year. I mean, yeah, you brought in Joe Flacco, proven veteran. He had a solid year for Cleveland a couple of years ago. That's that. Kenny Pickett has struggled, pretty much every season he's been in the NFL. So if you're picking a rookie, you're not saying, oh, he's going to sit 17 games. We'll try him next year. I believe in Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco for this year. There's no way. There's just no way that's the Browns' reasoning, in my opinion. So Sanders and Gabriel are going to get a shot this year. I do really believe that. And it's the offense is just going to be reliant on where they can take it, because I think with Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett, you know where the offense is going to go from what they've shown so far. Unless there's this miracle boom season from Kenny Pickett, you know what you're getting with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. you know what you're getting with Joe Flacco at this age at quarterback, especially with the weapons around him. This is not a Vikings offense where you have the super strong wide receiver 1 and 2 and tight end and solid running back room. You don't have that. And speaking of running back room, Samson and Judkins also have the eyes because, again, your running back room is going to be pretty reliant on rookies for where this is going to end up. This could be a really good season, or this could be a really bad season for the running back room. I think Judkins and Samson are two great prospects. I really think that prior to the Sanders pick, you could see what the Browns were doing, like what they were envisioning. It was, okay, we want Judkins. Okay, we want Samson. So they're clearly trying to get a reliable running game because they haven't had that since Nick Chubb got hurt. Okay, that makes sense. Then they get Dylan Gabriel in the third round. Very surprising, but okay, they believe in him. They need a quarterback. They chose him there. It all kind of made sense until the Sanders pick. So you can call that, an owner's pick or whatever it is. It definitely was surprising from where it happened, judging off how the draft went earlier, earlier to him being picked. But I do think that you don't pick Gabriel unless you believe in him in the third round, because that was prior to the Sanders pick. So I expect to see him. I think Sanders has the higher ceiling, to be honest with you, but he also was not the guy they believed in first. So I think Gabriel is going to have kind of first dibs, per se, as far as the rookie quarterbacks go. And this team is going to be in his hands. And the running back room is going to be in Judkins' hands, Samson's hands. These are guys that have not even stepped on the football field yet in the NFL, and they are carrying a lot of weight for how your offense is going to rank throughout the season. And that's just why I'm so up in the air on the Browns, is because a lot of the guys at these super important positions that are starting that you need to see produce, we haven't even seen the NFL yet. So it's really hard to get behind that and say, okay, they're going to compete at a really high level in the toughest conference in the league and one of the toughest divisions in the league when they've never played in the NFL before. That's just a huge, huge stab in the dark for me. Defensively, Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward have the gem. This is given to like the top 5 to 6, maybe even 7 players at that respective position. I think Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are absolutely top 5, 6, even 7 at their position. I think they're top 5. Myles Garrett's probably top 1, top 2. Denzel Ward's probably top 3, top 4, top 5. With that said, though, regardless, these are guys that you can at least point to in your defense and say, okay, we at least have Myles Garrett. We at least have Denzel Ward. When things go bad this year, you can always turn to them, and that is incredibly important when trying to turn a team around, because it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of losing involved. I'm not going to lie to you. Mason Graham, though, I gave the eyes to. This is, in my opinion, among literally every single defensive player chosen in the draft, Mason Graham has one of the highest ceilings for me, because of his ability to just make the other team uncomfortable. He makes his presence felt. And I think when you look at defensive players, specifically guys in the defensive line, people look at the box score and say, oh, he only had 6 sacks on the year. Well, that's not that good. He's not a very good player. Oh, he only had, 3 tackles for loss. And it's so easy to look at that and say, oh, well, if he's not sacking the quarterback, then he's not doing anything. And it's just not true. And I think it's unfortunate because some guys' role truly isn't to sack the quarterback. Of course they want to, but they're able to get there, and make the quarterback have to throw the ball a little bit differently on that play. Turn his arm a little bit differently, and all of a sudden the ball's intercepted, deflected, off target on a big third down. It's guys that are able to get there and make their presence felt, disrupt the running game, make the running back have to make a cut too early. He wasn't planning on cutting. All of a sudden he's lost a yard. Now it's a 3rd and 5 when it could have been a first down, or a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1. It's those type of plays that I think Mason Graham shows up big on, and I think he can show up very big on for the Browns this year. And when you pair him with Myles Garrett, I see this being a very, very active defensive line. So that's why I have so much confidence in the defensive line, not only because they have Myles Garrett, but also because of Mason Graham. And I don't want to completely ignore the other guys on there, but I truly do just feel like these are the guys that are going to take it to that next level. That's just how much I believe in Mason Graham as a rookie. So yeah, with that said, the strength of this team is going to be the defense, as it usually is for the Browns at this point. I do truly believe the defensive line is going to be the best part about this team. I don't even know how close, honestly. I mean, unless the quarterback or the running back room explodes and has a terrific year, I think the D-line is going to be by far the strength of this team. And I don't want to make everything so negative, but it is truly hard to feel a lot of confidence in the Browns when you just had a 3-14 season. You don't really have okay, that's the quarterback we got. It's going to be a bit better this year. Joe Flacco, looking at him, at this stage of his career, that doesn't make me feel better at quarterback after having a 3-14 season. And for running back room as well, I think Dylan Sampson and Quinton Judkins are two awesome prospects, and I think they can be very, very good in the NFL. But if they're not, I mean, you have Jerome Ford, and that's it. You have Pierre Strong at the fourth string running back, but you need these picks to produce. And while I am confident in that, it's still not a guarantee. We still have no idea what to expect from these guys because they have not played a down in the NFL yet, and they are carrying a lot of the weight for the offensive production this year, and that's what scares me so much about the Browns. So with that said, I do always have this little chart here just because it's easy to see, kind of see where I'm ranking these teams as far as offense and defense and all. So just on the screen right here, it's low. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's pretty low. It's probably one of the lowest charts I have for any team this season. And it sucks because I think the Browns, they've had potential over the past couple seasons, but they just have not made the right decisions. And truthfully, the Deshaun Watson trade set this team back. I mean, you lost first-round picks because of that. You lost so much money. And yeah, you've restructured it, but what have you got? You've got nothing. I mean, he hasn't even played a full season for you. And when he has played, he's been, in my opinion, the worst quarterback in the NFL. And if he's not the worst, he has not been better than the 30th. So it's rough because it was pretty preventable, to be honest with you. I think they just got really eager and they saw Watson as their ticket to a lot of success, and it just wasn't. So with that said, you're still kind of feeling the repercussions from that. I have the offense as a C- to C tier, but it's just so up in the air. I mean, if any of those quarterbacks have a huge season, this could be a B tier offense. If Shedeur Sanders comes in, plays terrific, and both Judkins and Sampson are these huge hits in the draft, maybe it's a B plus offense. Maybe it's an A- offense. I mean, Jerry Jeudy's had a great season. So it's not like the potential isn't there. It's just that the floor is so unbelievably low. And I think to even give Sanders, who in my opinion does have the highest ceiling, to even give him a shot, you have to have failure to get to him at this point. So it's going to be rough. Defensively, I gave you B- to C+. I think it's going to be good, but I think your offense is so bad. You're going to be on the field so much defensively. It's going to be wearing you down, and whether it's injuries or just lack of energy, it's going to catch up to them. It's exactly what happened to the Panthers 2 years ago, where Bryce Young's rookie year, he was just awful, and the defense was good, but over the course of the season, they couldn't get off the field, so they end up being terrible, when in reality, when they were healthy, when they were, week 4, week 5, they were pretty solid. They were keeping them in games, but you can't play a whole season of having your defense constantly put on the field and being worn down. It's not sustainable. So that's how I see the Browns season going for them, unfortunately. Now, we haven't got to the record prediction yet, though, so hang on, don't go anywhere. But I do see it being a rough season. And I think now as we kind of transition to the record part of the video, a large part of the kind of feelings I had toward the Browns, a large part of that also stems from outside forces, not just the struggles that they're going to face on their own, but their schedule, their division. I mean, it is going to be really, really rough. This is not the NFC South 2 years ago where you could be, almost below 500 and make the playoffs. That is not this division. The top of your division are Super Bowl contenders. The Browns and the Bengals are Super Bowl contenders. The Steelers could have a huge turnaround this season. This is not a division where you're going to have a lot of fun if you're toward the bottom of the NFL. Because if you're toward the bottom of the NFL, then you're going to get stomped in the AFC North. Because it's one of the best divisions in all of football. So let's go ahead and get into the record. I have them going 3-14 again. And I'm sorry, I can't see games on here where I have a lot of confidence in them. I did give them the Bengals week 1, though. So hopefully any Browns fans watching this, you'll at least appreciate me for that. They always beat the Bengals in Cleveland, no matter how bad they are. The Bengals always start slow. I think it's a recipe to where the Browns can at least get a week 1 win. But after that, it's going to be tough. You play the Ravens in Baltimore. You play the Packers in Cleveland, the Lions in Detroit, the Vikings in Cleveland, the Steelers in Pittsburgh. There's you don't really get a break. I mean, it's the NFL. There's no free games any week. There's no breaks for anybody, but especially this schedule. This schedule is tough. For a 3-14 team to draw this schedule, this is tough. Pretty much the only games I could see going either way would be the Dolphins game and the Patriots game. That's about it. I mean, I gave them the Browns game as a little bit of an upset later on in the season because they're not going to be favored in that game either. So again, I think at the absolute best is like 6-11 maybe as like the ceiling for them. I just don't see it. And again, not even to really go in on the Browns' struggles on their own. Like, I don't see a world where they beat the Ravens or the Lions. You know, I mean, it's going to be tough. The 49ers, yeah, they might be kind of rough this year. Maybe that's one Cleveland can steal if their defense steps up. So, in my opinion, if they get 6 wins, those other 3 wins are Miami, New England, and San Francisco. But I don't even see you beating Las Vegas when you go to Vegas, truthfully. And I don't see you beating the Bills. I think you split with the Bengals. The Jets will be a tough game defensively. I think the Vikings offense will probably wear down the Browns defense, to be honest with you. I think the Packers, Jordan Love is a little inconsistent. I will say that. So maybe the Browns defense forces them to like 2 or 3 interceptions and kind of steals a close one there. But I don't see you beating the Lions. Lions, Bills, and Ravens are teams I just don't see them really competing with, to be honest with you. Steelers, I have them sweeping as well, getting swept by as well. So it's tough. It really is. 3-14 is where I felt comfortable, and that was with giving 2 upsets to the Bears and the Bengals. The Titans game, I do think the Browns can win that. Titans offense is going to be in a similar spot to the Browns with a lot of question marks, and I think the Browns defense is going to be able to at least slow down Cam Ward at that point. So, but again, this is July. I'm talking about a game in like November or December. So it's a little tough to predict that accurately. But at least as of right now, that's how I'd see it going. So I'm sorry, Browns fans. I just think there's too many question marks. There's too many unknowns. Too many things have to go just right to find a lot of success this year. And yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think best case scenario, Sanders makes the most of his shot, or Gabriel makes the most of his shot, and the running back room, both rookies hit, and you can get 6 wins. But if they got 7 or more, I would truly be shocked because this is just a tough schedule in general. Not even just, oh, make fun of the Browns. No, this is a tough schedule for anybody, especially one where you have a question mark at quarterback, wide receiver depth, running back, secondary, maybe even linebackers. I mean, it's going to be tough. But yeah, so let me know down below what you guys think the Browns are going to do in 2025. Is it going to be a big surprise? I mean, we've seen big turnarounds. We've seen Washington's turnaround last year. You know, the Bengals after they drafted Jamar Chase, that was a big turnaround. Texans with C.J. Stroud, that was a big turnaround. So it's always possible, but there's just not enough elsewhere on the team to make me feel comfortable enough to really predict it. So, yeah, let me know down below what you guys think. Make sure to subscribe if you guys did enjoy. We're going to see more videos like this. The AFC North is now done. Moving on to the probably AFC, I don't know, East, West, South, whatever you guys want, comment down below. Next, a tier list video. Then after that, we're back to these, getting all of these done for all 32 teams before September 4th. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that. I would really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.